Hi, Chase. My name is Katie, and I am the representative from the Eastern Group 1.
And I am Chase. I am from the Central Time NCR Tangible Group 3.
Great. So why don't we just go ahead and get started with feedback as we chatted a little bit before. I don't have a ton for you guys. Everything looked pretty good, followed the template really well. So do you want me to go ahead and get started first?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So as far as content and comprehensiveness, we thought you guys did well. Just watch the tense. So like in some portions, there was past tense and then present tense used. So just to keep it a little bit more clear, try to stick to one. I tried to comment on the sections where that was occurring. Organization, make sure your links or your sections are linked. So to the appendix, an example of this would be like the role play section in section 5 for some of your references that you're referencing back to in earlier sections. As far as the target audience, so there was in the section about training materials, one of my group members mentioned maybe using some more appropriate jargon for new learners, so lesser behavioral repertoires and using some more non-ABA friendly terms for them for new like DCS workers. Clarity, so some areas just needed more clarity, such as the role-playing section in section 5. There were some typo errors. This is just one example, but there were a couple sections where we made comments about this, and to make it a little bit more clear as to what was like an incorrect response and how the trainer should proceed with correct versus incorrect responses. And then effectively constructive. So make sure that you guys are using the new ethical code. This was in the instructions to use the new one, and some of the ethical codes referenced in your guys's paper were part of the old one. And then lastly, you guys did a really good job with the inclusion of videos for your video modeling. It looks like you guys spent a lot of time on that, and it looked really well, really great. It looked like it went well, and you guys did a great job on that. And then the quizzes for like the quiz checks of the material, you guys did a great job creating those, and we were impressed with your questions and answers for those. That's all the feedback that we had for you.
Awesome, thank you. We really enjoyed going through yours as well. It was definitely a long project for all of us. I know it was a lot of work, and you all definitely did a great job putting in a lot of effort, and you know, we really saw the heart and soul that you all put into the project. Kind of a similar thing from what you all saw with ours. There were some consistency and grammatical errors that we noticed kind of throughout, like there's some colloquial language that it just sounds a bit too informal for our project that we just highlighted, and we tried to just highlight it, explain it once, and kind of go through and just highlight it and just let you know where it was, so it was easier to fix. There were some portions that were a little bit redundant, and we felt that they could just be shortened a little bit, and not necessarily that the content was bad, just that, you know, you might have already explained it in an earlier paragraph, or a sentence might have repeated something that was already said. For the trainer qualifications, one of the group members brought up where a BCABA might fall into that, whether they might be a primary trainer or a secondary trainer, and that just might be an area for clarification. One error that we noticed was consistency with citations. In some sections, there are citations that don't have dates. And then in the annotated bibliography, there are some of the actual citations that they just need to be updated to the APA 7th formatting. The content in the sections looks really good. The ethics code part, I think something that would be helpful would be to put the ethics codes in either numerical order or kind of stating if you rank them based on importance to the topic. I think either way is fine. If you did it based one way or another, I just think it would be good to explain it. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. Okay, there was a section, it was the staff description. The box that contains the ethics code and the task list has a different style and font than the rest. And we just made a note that would be helpful for you all to change. There are a couple of instances. Let me locate it real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll through the whole project, so it's taking me a second to find the specific point. There is. Okay, in the function-based intervention section, clarifying about the functions of behavior. The rest of the section looks really good. That was just a point that could be elaborated on for a little bit more clarity for the reader. And also, there is a portion where it says you do not need to address other functions in your training. And I think just rewording that to focus on what the reader should be doing and what they shouldn't do would really improve the clarity of that paragraph. But other than that, really, really great work. There's a lot of really helpful and important information that you all cover. The last bit of feedback that we noticed is, some paragraphs were indented, others weren't. But overall, you all did a great job focusing on the function and the intervention. And the graphs look good. The content overall is just really good quality. And I have to definitely praise you all for that.
Back at you, like you said, this is a long project. I think this is probably one of the longest projects that I've had, 58 pages. So we've definitely put a lot of work into it. And like you said, it shows for you guys too. Absolutely. And if that's all that you have for us, we did have some questions about some of your feedback too, if you wouldn't mind answering some of those questions for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the one in particular, I'll go ahead and share my screen just because we screenshot the particular area. Just one of my members asked about one of the checklists, and I think you had actually commented on this, so it's perfect. So it says, this form leaves much to interpretation. Is there something else that maybe you could help suggest for this portion rather than like the rating scale? She was wondering.
So I think gearing that more towards a yes or no, a kind of check or minus for a lot of those might be better, just because I'm trying to read off this screenshot. Staff faded the prompt was one of the examples that I was thinking of that, there's a degree of gray area that's involved in that, where you know, they could have faded the prompt, but they might not have done it entirely correctly. So, you know, somebody might grade that as a 1, somebody might grade it as a 2, somebody might grade it as a 0. And I think having kind of a yes or no for at least some of the items might help. So if, you know, anybody were to pick it up, your supervisor, another supervisor, a BCBA that might not directly know how an individual is as a staff member, that the integrity of the checklist would hold. So basically, you know, if 3 BCBAs were to watch a video of the staff member implementing something, they would all, you know, be able to answer with certainty one way or the other that either they did or didn't. Some of them, I think the rating scale would be appropriate. You know, just because there are kind of levels to some of the checklists that you have outlined there. There's just a couple on there that I think are better off being a yes or no, plus or minus kind of question.
Sure, yeah, that's great feedback. We appreciate it. I think that you bring up a good point. I think it goes back to that, like, a lot of these people are DCS staff, so it might be a little bit more simpler, I think, is what is happening if we do like a yes or no or just a plus or minus. Great.
Okay, what other questions do you have for me?
That's actually it. I thought I had more, but that's it.
All right, awesome. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. Are there any that you have for us?
Let me minimize the screen again. It forced me to, oh, sorry. It forced me to go full screen whenever you shared your screen. So let me scroll through real quick. We continue to kind of make notes on our Google Doc. So we have some on here. Mainly the questions were related to some of the comments. And it was more of a clarity. Some of your group members typed like incomplete sentences, and we were kind of confused if that's what was suggested would make more sense, or if they were intending to write a full sentence and stop it there. Like in the training methods, there was a comment on a sentence, but the comment only said, "This method is effective for," and then ended with that. And we just didn't know if that meant that's what Michelle was trying to convey the sentence should be, or if she was trying to write a full thought and maybe not have put it all the way on the comment.
Yeah, absolutely. So for that, I can definitely reach out to her and see if there was anything additional that she was thinking at the moment that she typed that. So if it's okay with you guys, since we all have access to that Google Doc, I can message her and then have her complete that sentence. Were there any others in particular that you noticed that with that you can think of?
They were just a couple spread throughout. That was the first one that I came to.
We'll all go through because we keep making edits as well to ours too. So we'll just go through and double check for you guys to make sure that they're all cohesive and completed sentences, if that's okay.
Yeah, and we can do the same for you all as well. If there's any questions that come up as you all are revising, or if there's any additional feedback that we could give, feel free to reach out, and one or all of us can provide that if need be.
Absolutely, sounds great. Back at you guys too. And then I'll post this video in the discussion too. So if any members want to view back on it too, they can. That way we all have it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for your time and your feedback. I know it's kind of hard to do while we're working on school and going to work with all this crazy stuff going on. So any time that you can spare is always appreciated.
Back at you, Chase. We really, really appreciate all the feedback.